All right, well, once again, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Dratty Gymnasium, the home of the Jaspers. It is my distinct honor to bring out the president of Manhattan University, Dr. Frederick Bonato.
Hello and good evening, honored guests, members of the Board of Trustees, alumni, students, faculty, staff, and friends. We're thrilled to be hosting one of the most prolific and influential authors of our time, James Patterson. When discussing this event, Jim suggested we give the following introduction. James Patterson has written too many books. I disagree, and I think a lot of us disagree. If I may, I'd like to add a bit more. James Patterson has sold over 400 million copies of his books worldwide and has had more than 100 of his titles top the New York Times bestseller list. He redefined the modern thriller with his iconic Alex Cross series and The Women's Murder Club. And his writing has captivated readers across multiple generations and genres. Whether it's his young adult fantasy series, Maximum Ride, his elegant Suzanne's Diary for Nicholas, his collaborative fiction with President Bill Clinton or Dolly Parton, or his critically acclaimed nonfiction, Walk in My Combat Boots, The Last Days of John Lennon, or Disrupt Everything and Win. It's out in hard copy September 29th. For James Patterson, nothing is more important than telling a great story. And great storytelling changes lives, because reading changes lives. Beyond his success as an author, James Patterson is a passionate advocate for literacy. He and his wife, Sue, have donated millions of dollars and countless books to writing programs, schools, libraries, and independent bookstores across the country. We are so grateful to have Sue with us tonight. Sue, please stand so we can see you and show our gratitude for all your support. All your support to Manhattan over the years in funding the Patterson Scholarships, athletic initiatives, and now the James Patterson Honors Program at Manhattan University. As we continue, I'd like to give a special shout out to the Manhattan Jazz Band Combo for setting the tone for an incredible evening. And to our very own Dr. Deirdre O'Leary, Associate Professor of English, who will be serving as tonight's moderator. Without further ado, please join me in welcoming home our fellow Jasper, Mr. James Patterson.
All right, this is home. Hi, I'm yeah, you didn't think he was coming. Here's a gift that I have. I'm just going to talk for a couple of minutes, and then I'll get whatever I'm going to get grilled here about English, and I'll be great. Yeah, I don't know. But this is, I think this is useful, especially for the students. It's a little useful for me. but for students, I think it's really, and I think if you think about it, it can define your whole career here at Manhattan in terms of what you're trying to do, what you're aiming for, thinking about things early, and because it's going to affect your whole life. And the language here is, my time here is short, not just at Manhattan, my time here is short. What can I do most beautifully? And that's been driving me for the last 3 or 4 years in terms of the decisions, who I want to work with. I just finished a book with Viola Davis, a novel, which I think is the best novel I've done. And she's great to work with. She's very tough in a good way. And weirdly, in fact, Friday I'm going down to see him. I'm doing a novel with Mr. Beast, which, yeah, can you believe it? That's a weird one, right? But it's really cool and interesting. And once again, I thought it was something that I could do that I would do beautifully. And really take that thought away from tonight. My time here is short. Your time here is short. What can you do most beautifully? It's a really good thing to think about as you're going through school, not to put pressure on yourself, but making those decisions. What are you good at? What are you passionate about? And it can be anything. It can be, I want to be a lawyer. I want to be a teacher. I want to be a parent. There's so many things you can do, but what can you do most beautifully? And it relates to why I'm here tonight and why we're trying to do this program, which I would like to see evolve into just the honors program. I don't want my name on it, but for the moment, it's useful because you just get people paying a little bit more attention for whatever reason. One of the things, and this is just between us, but when I came here to Manhattan, if you got into Manhattan, you wouldn't even consider going to the competitors. You would not go to Iona, Siena, Marist. You would never in a million years go to Villanova in those days. And one of the things we need to do, or hopefully this program will help a little bit, is to get that gap as wide as it. You're getting a great education here. We want everybody to know about that. And we want to make that education even better if we can do that. And what the honors program hopefully will do is, and I don't like, lines, advertising lines. I was in advertising, but I've been clean for a long time, but, prepared for success or prepare for success, something like that. And in terms of the program, and we need buy-in, obviously, which means the program has to work. And then you all have to support it. And when I say you all, I mean all the students, all the professors, everybody needs to go, this is a good thing. This is a nice piece of the puzzle. It is not the puzzle, it is just a piece. And one of the things about it is, for a lot of students, not all students, but a lot of students want to be seen. They want to feel that somebody is aware of them at the school. We know who they are. We're going to try to mentor you. And we're going to prepare you for the real world. And that's, Manhattan has always been good, and that's always been one of the things that's special about this school. Manhattan prepared me for the real world. I was ready when I came out of here. And what we're going to try to do with the honors program is to help the students who are in it to be better speakers, to be better writers, to be better thinkers, and to be more confident. And hopefully at some point, if you're, we'll keep trying to enlarge the program. We're going to have an aggressive speakers program, which we haven't quite got it down yet, but we will. By the way, we're going to make some mistakes this year. That's okay. We're going to do some stuff that isn't quite right. That's fine. Don't worry about that. They can write about it in the quadrangle. Screw up. That's okay. Because we're going to get better next year. But in terms of the speakers program, we'll get some people in here who will be exciting and stimulating, and maybe your parents will come. And we're also going to do things where we'll bring in like a really good lawyer who's going to tell you what it's like to really be a lawyer. Okay? Here's what a lawyer actually does. Here's what a corporate lawyer does on a daily basis. Here's what a trial lawyer does. So you'll understand. Here's what an accountant actually does. Here's what a teacher in the city does. So that you'll be able to understand better, and you'll be able to, once again, to do things beautifully. My hope here is that we'll continue to think bigger and aim higher. I was with the basketball coach, and he's aiming at third in the conference, and I'm aiming at first in the conference. So we'll see what happens. Third is good, first is better. And just the last thing, a Manhattan grad who came out of a small town in Newburgh, New York, up the river. My father grew up in a Newburgh poorhouse, which he was essentially homeless. And I went on to become the #1 writer in the world. So things can happen. Things can happen. Steve Squarey back here, head of American Express, wherever the hell he is. He's here somewhere. There he is. Okay, what a handsome guy. All right, thank you so much. What up?
Welcome, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
All right.
Can everyone hear me now?
Does anybody have a hand? Do we have a hand mic for Deirdre? Okay, I'll ask myself the first question. What's the first question? I'll play with it with the hand mic. Yeah, another hand mic. Great. Or that mic. Mine is cool though. I have a really cool mic.
Hello?
Oh yeah, there it is.
Fantastic. Welcome, everyone, to the inaugural event for the James Patterson Honors Program. I see a lot of blue shirts in the audience. Can you tell me, students, how many of you are students in the James Patterson Honors Program? Can we hear from you?
Small but vocal. More noise. We want more noise. All right. Thank you.
Well, you did a wonderful job talking about the program, so if it's all right with you, I want to jump into your stories.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
I write too many books.
And you also said one of the suggestions for an introduction was that you come from nothing. That's what you told me in our Google Meet. And you come from humble background in Newburgh, New York.
And I'm still humble. And that's a key thing. I mean, once again, I can stand up here and shoot the breeze with you and all that stuff. But I'm not impressed with all the books that I sell. And our son is 27 now. And same thing with Jack. Jack, yeah, Jim's dad sells a lot of books, so what? Yeah.
Well, you say that you still view the world through the eyes of a blue-collar kid. Can you tell us a little bit about that kid?
As I said, grew up in Newburgh, New York. Father, the Pogie. It was where his mother was a charwoman there, so she cleaned the kitchens and the bathrooms and whatever. There was a Christian Brothers high school there, St. Patrick's, which is no longer there. It's just a small town, but it was a small town I wanted to get the hell out of there. And part of that was to make sure you got a good education.
And can you tell us how it was you came to Manhattan University?
I don't know if you want to hear this story, but okay, you asked. Here's the reality, which is interesting. So I applied to Harvard, Yale, Colby, and Bates. And come around February, March, I don't remember exactly, we hadn't heard from any of the schools.
And you were valedictorian.
I was, yeah, well, not yet, but I would be. And so my mother and I went in to see Brother Leonard, the principal of St. Patrick's, and we said, we haven't heard from any of the schools. And he said, oh, I never sent your transcript to any of those schools, but you have a full ride at Manhattan College, which was the Christian Brothers School. And so that's kind of how it happened. I did get into Hamilton right after that, which is where my father went. But you know what? And actually, when I got in here, the head of Dean of Arts and Sciences said, if you do well, I'll get you into Harvard next year. And I did well, but I loved it here, and I stayed, and it couldn't have worked out better.
What did college look like to you? You're 18 years old, you're going to school. Was college the way to get a job? Was it something your parents always insisted upon? Like, what did you envision?
Well, I think all of those for sure. I didn't think about a job so much as, yeah, you have to do it. I must say, I never particularly loved school. I just thought I was good at it, but I just thought there was a lot of stuff that was a waste of time, personally. That's changed somewhat, which I think is useful. It was just, it needed to be done. And then I went from here to Vanderbilt, which was another good school. And that was a good experience as well. Yeah.
Full ride Ph.D. program at Vanderbilt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We was there in Vietnam. And I actually left Vanderbilt because they had the lottery then. And I had a high number, 270 or something like that. But you had to get out of school to use that number. Otherwise, you went back in and you'd get a new number. So I left Vanderbilt and went into advertising. Yeah. And as I said, I've been clean for a long time.
I am going to ask about advertising, but
Sure.
if you'll allow me, I just want to ask a question about one of your summer jobs.
Yeah.
It's 1968. The Vietnam War is going on.
Mm-hmm.
Martin Luther King and RFK have been assassinated.
Yeah.
You're not much older in this room, and you're spending your summers working as an aide in a mental institution in Massachusetts.
It felt just like the country. And it feels like the country right now.
Yeah.
Another mental institution. Yeah, I needed a job. And they needed aides, and it wound up being an absolutely terrific job. Really very good hospital, McLean Hospital. At that point, it was one of the 2 best mental hospitals in the country. I don't know who keeps track of these things, but that was the way they were rated. James Taylor was a patient, and it was so cool because he used to say he wasn't famous. He was kind of just a mental patient, and but he used to sing in the little coffee shop like twice a week, and I would sit like right where Steve Square is here, this close, and here'd be James Taylor singing "Fire and Rain" and "Sweet Baby James" and all these songs. Robert Lowell, the poet, he would check in there every a couple times a year, and I was an English major, and with Lowell, there was another English major who was an aide, and we used to go in there and sit in the room with Lowell, and he would just talk about his poetry, why he wrote, whatever. So it was a very special time, and I learned to talk to people, and in particular, young adults, adolescent, misbehavior stuff, and that was. And a lot of those young people that I knew, they maintained friendships over the years after they, recovered, and so that was very special.
And it was during this time that you were also writing
and reading.
Yes.
Because in high school, I don't think they did a particularly good job in grammar school or high school in terms of getting us reading stuff that would turn us on. And that's one of the things that bugs me in general about schools, especially grade schools. If the objective is to get kids reading, do not give them stuff that turns them off to reading. That's stupid. It's obscene. We have a big program for the University of Florida. Percentage of kids reading at grade level in the country is like 45, 46%. University of Florida has a program that they developed, gets it up into the low 80s, for real. They have the statistics. It's being instituted in Florida now. It's in about 20% of the counties. This next year, it's going to go into 60%. Right now, Florida is #1 in terms of Black kids reading at grade level, and #1 with Latino kids reading at grade level. This program works. We have the vaccine, and I like vaccines, but and I like this vaccine in particular. And so that's and that will save lives. will save literally thousands of lives, because if kids are competent readers, just competent, they can get through high school. If they're not competent readers, it's very, very hard to continue. And but we can, when I grew up in Newburgh, small town, poor town, everybody could read. Everybody could read. It was crazy. So something went crazy along the way, and it's fixable, or mostly fixable.
Were your parents readers?
Yeah, my parents were readers. In those days, a lot of book clubs, the Book of the Month Club, and I forget the other one. But yeah, no, my father, he wanted to be a novelist, and when he retired, he actually wrote a novel, and it was pretty good. Didn't get published, but and then he got a short story published, so that was great. So very, very smart guy. Yeah.
You've mentioned advertising.
Yes, I have, but I've been trying to not really get involved in that too much. But I guess we're going down that memory trail. No, I'm kidding. I can talk about it.
Well, I'd like to bring it up on the subject of imposter syndrome, because I think that's something that a lot of college kids and adults deal with all the time. So just for those of you who don't know, after college, James Patterson got advertising at J. Walter Thompson, despite not having studied advertising, not having taken a class in advertising. And I was wondering if you could share your story of how you got the job, and if possible, some thoughts on why and how you were so successful at it. And unless
I have a book coming out later this month, I think we're going to come here we don't expect this kind of a crowd, but it's called Disrupt Everything and Win. And my whole life has been just disrupting things. So you look at something, you go, that doesn't really make sense. American Express should get this book to everybody. We're working with Franklin Covey too. It's a really useful book, because disrupting. I mean, that's what's going on right now. It's insanity. But for whatever reason, from early on, I just had it in my head to disrupt things that didn't make sense. And hopefully there'll be some disrupting here, because it needs it. All schools need it, because the next few years are going to be really, really difficult for all schools. This year it's going to be difficult for, in terms of, especially if you're running the school. But, for example, at J. Walter Thompson, and I never took an advertising course or marketing or whatever, but you had to do a portfolio. So I put together a portfolio, and that was the deal. You would drop it off to the agency, and then supposedly people would look at it. But what I did is I dropped off the portfolio, and then a week later, I brought a second portfolio, and a week later, I brought a third portfolio, and they said, okay, we're going to hire this kid because he's got pretty good ideas, and he's doing something different, and that's what we're supposed to be doing with advertising. So, so that's how that worked out. And it's that kind of stuff. How do you solve problems? Success, or a whole lot of things, is about solving problems, solving little problems, feeling confident that you can. Once again, and a school experience should help you to learn how to solve problems.
I'm just going to ask, if I start a sentence, can you finish it? This is from a famous...
No, I hate this thing.
I know, but I'm sorry. And I told you I was going to do it. I don't want to grow up. I'm a...
Oh, they have to answer. Yay. Okay. Yes. I did write that line. Yeah. That's my best advertising. That's it. And the song and the whole bull of wax. Yeah. That was fun. I enjoyed that. It was a good one.
But I think one of the interesting things in your time in advertising...
Oh, go Jaspers. Yes. Yes.
I think one of the interesting things in your time in advertising is how closely it's connected to your prioritizing writing, and seeing a person's ability to think, read, and write critically as the tools to help them best solve problems.
Yeah, I think the thing with advertising that helped me the most in terms of writing commercial fiction is the realization that there is an audience. You're not just talking to yourself. And you can write poetry and nobody will read it. No, mostly. And I love poetry. but that's a tough gig. If that's what you can do most beautifully, get a day job too, because the poetry thing it's a tough one. It's like there's a commercial out and the guy says, I want to be an NFL quarterback. And Peyton Manning says, well, that's a very small, the poetry thing is small too. I'm sorry, but go ahead.
Can we move to your first novel?
Sure.
Okay. So your first book, and this leads to a question, a point that I think a lot of college students deal with, rejection.
Mm-hmm.
So your first novel, The Thomas Berryman Number, won the Edgar Allan Poe Award for Best First Mystery Novel in 1977 after it had been rejected 31 times.
Yeah, go figure that one out. No, and it's just an interesting thing that it would get. Some of the rejections were relatively kind, but it got, and then I tell you, this is a weird thing about that experience. I'm working at J. Walter Thompson, and I get this phone call, and it's a woman from the Mystery Writers of America, and she goes, your novel has been nominated as Best First Mystery. And I said, oh, well, that's great. And she said, well, the awards show, and she told me the date. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry, I can't go. I don't remember, there was something that I was supposed to do. And she said, no, you've been nominated for Best First Mystery. And I said, I know, I heard you the first time, but there's something I have it that night. And she said, you have to go, you won. I said, okay, well, I'm going. But I went with my parents, and when I got up, all I said, my whole speech was, I guess I'm a writer now. And I meant it from my heart because, one, I'd had a novel published, and two, I had just won this award. So I felt I could honestly say I'm a writer now.
But you would go on to write and work full time in
Yeah.
advertising for years, turning out.
How silly was that?
I don't know when you slept.
I still don't sleep. That's the key. Don't sleep. Can't you? It's like this. Whatever it is. Yeah.
So, I have to say the name Alex Cross.
Mm-hmm.
It's the
Don't know him. Yeah.
Nice guy.
Yeah, he is.
It's
been good to me. Built a couple of houses for us. Very nice.
It's the Alex Cross books that really made you a household name. Along Came a Spider and Kiss the Girls, both become bestsellers and major motion pictures. But can you talk a little bit about the genesis of Forensic Psychologist and Detective Alex Cross?
Well, I had worked in the mental hospital plane, so I knew a lot of the doctors there and the nurses, not necessarily a little fraternity, whatever. Never mind. So I kind of, and I was interested in that area anyway. And actually, the first novel, there was a little bit about mental hospitals in that one, the Thomas Berryman Number. And part of it was, I grew up in Newburgh, and my grandparents, they built a small restaurant. They literally built it themselves. No construction, they just built the damn thing. And I kind of learned a lot from them about, just doing things for yourself. You just have to go out and do it. My grandmother had a line, hungry dogs run faster. And that sort of has driven me all, through my life. Hungry dogs run faster. And she also was, go chop some wood, meaning just don't talk about it, do it. That's really a key thing too. There's a book out now called, what the hell is it called? Let Them. And the woman that's behind that, and it's just, and I talk to President Clinton about this all the time, about not, if you can't do, and you can't do anything to fix it, don't ruin your day messing around with it. Just move on. Beautiful day. If you can do something, do it. So with this program, hopefully we can do a little bit here to help. So we're doing it. We just did a program, which we announced last week, Go Finish Your Book. And that has to do with just putting out money for novelists to go finish your book. And we looked at just a ton of, and the reality of it is, so we picked 12 writers and we gave them between $15,000 and $50,000. Go finish your book. Just go, and what I said when I was interviewed from the press, I said, look, what I'm doing is a drop in the bucket. But what's important is there's a bucket. Okay? And here are all these writers out there, and nobody's going to help them, and they need to be motivated. And we need writers in this country. We have a lot of scholarships at University of Iowa. They have a great writers program there. And it's important to me that the program flourishes because we need writers. And there are less and less places for writers. I was talking about with the editor of the Quadrangle. And, newspapers, not as much. Magazines kind of forget about it. Very tough there's very few publishers anymore. So, but we need writers. We need storytellers.
What are your thoughts on the move towards self-publishing and putting your book out?
Great. And that wasn't available to me at the time. The problem is, for the most part, it doesn't pay. I do know one writer who actually broke through and he sold 3 or 4 million copies. So it happens, but it's rare.
So
making money on the internet.
Do you think the publishing industry needs radical change?
Yeah, 100%. Sure. Yeah. Well, and that's why my publisher, Little Brown, that's why one of the reasons they bought the book is that it was 2 new people, the publisher and I forget the other persons, but they knew that, and this is the same with American Express. But any company, if you've got a mission, okay, for that mission to be successful, you must have a lot of people buy into that, okay? And that frequently means so for in a publishing house, the editors must disrupt the way they've been editing. The sales department must disrupt the way they've been looking at sales. Everybody in the company, and insofar as you get buy-in, your program works. With this program here, we need people to disrupt and to be positive about it. And once again, as I said, we're going to make some mistakes, but we'll keep getting better and better and better. And this is a useful program. This will be, it's a little piece of the puzzle, but a nice piece.
With disruption.
And we need a mission. We need a mission here that people can say in 2 sentences and get. That's what our son went to Brown, and this isn't their mission, but in terms of the culture there, and I'll say to you very simply, in human talk, and we need human talk, and the thing at Brown is, and what they will communicate is, you're all smart, don't beat each other up, and support each other. And I don't know if the pre-med people do that, but mostly the kids do it, and the professors do it. So there's a culture. It's very easy to understand, and similarly, if the mission here is we're going to prepare you better for the real world, as a human being, I get that. As a student in a high school, I kind of get that. That makes sense to me, and you're going to be seen. You're not going to get lost here. You go to NYU, you're not going to be seen. That's okay. That doesn't make it a bad school, but you're not going to be seen. And we're going to prepare you. One of the people that works for me went to Princeton, and she said, they didn't prepare me for anything, and that's why I'm in PR. So we're gonna, not we, but you're gonna be prepared, and this little piece is useful, I think.
What do you say to college students? Part of that preparation means dealing with criticism, with negative feedback.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. You got to be tough. You got to be confident in yourselves. And obviously, the criticism needs to be human. There's sometimes professors in some places, they just think it's great to just make fun of people. And that's probably not as bad as it used to be. That's not useful. That's not useful. It's not useful to make people feel bad about themselves. But the criticism is totally important. And we got our brains beat in. We had at St. Patrick's, we had a brother, junior and senior year, and we had him for math and science. Brother Henry, big Polish guy, 6'3", and he'd come into every class. He'd say, "Gentlemen, anyone who doesn't have your homework, please stand up." Now, mostly I would have my homework because I knew it was going to happen. And he would stand in front of you, big guy. He says, "Mr. Patterson, yes, brother, you know it's going to happen now? Yes, brother. Do you know why?" From the floor, boom. Okay, you know the deal. But basically, and then my friend Hatfield, who was standing next to me, he goes, "Brother, you can skip the preliminaries, just hit me." Whatever, smart guy.
So advertising had nothing on the Christian Brothers.
No, yeah, I mean, people would say tough business. I say, no, high school was harder. But it's all changed, and that's not the that's not really the way to do things. But tough love a little bit it can be useful. Criticism is useful. It just doesn't have to be mean-spirited.
You touched briefly on the reading crisis.
And by the way, this is just me. I'm not suggesting what this school should do in any way, shape, or form. This is just me, blathering up here.
That's okay.
Yeah.
She
agrees. She doesn't like any of my ideas. No, I'm kidding. And I don't blame her.
I think it sounds great. But you talked a bit about the reading crisis, which I'd just like to ask you a little bit more about your advocacy for literacy. Just to give a little bit of information, though this was shared in the introduction, you and your wife, Sue, are passionately committed to philanthropy to Manhattan, as well as other institutions, bookstores, foundations promoting education and literacy. Your mother was a teacher. Can you talk a bit about this work?
Well, one of the most satisfying for us, and we got into it a few years back, and that's historically Black universities and colleges, because they got no money. And so we're now at 37 historically Black university and colleges, 10 to 20 scholarships, and we never do full rides. We always do, we're going to help, but you got to help yourself a little bit too. But we're in 37 schools. And one of the things about those schools is 60% of the Black doctors in this country come out of historically Black universities and colleges. 50% of the lawyers, I don't blame them for that part, but 50% of the lawyers come from historically Black. So they do a great job. And boy, they need the money. So we love that kind of thing where the need is there. They're good partners. They're very, very supportive, and the kids are very appreciative, which is fine, which is good.
Can you talk a little bit about your Jimmy imprint and your passion for inspiring young kids to read?
I might have said it before, but I mean, one of the tricks with kids' books is if the objective is to get them reading, do not give them books early on that turn them off to reading. No, I mean, that's insane. And so many boards of education do that. It's crazy. No, fourth graders, for the most part, do not need to read Shakespeare. Eventually, they'll get to the point, but not. It's the fourth graders don't really get Shakespeare, but don't turn them off. Turn them on. Turn them on. Turn them on. And I believe that's important here. Honestly, the best course I ever had, and it's doable here. It was at Vanderbilt. I went up to a professor, and stop me if I'm telling the same story. And there were. I went to him and I said, "Here are 30 novels that I'm dying to read and I haven't read." And we agreed on, 12 or 15, and that was the course. And we would go to a bar once a week and shoot the shit about one of the novels. And you could actually do that with a class of a couple hundred students. And the way it would work is, I'm going to trust you guys to read the 12 novels, and I'm going to talk about fiction and short stories in general for the course. I might give you one book of short stories and one novel to read as well. And then you're going to have to write essays about what you're reading. And that would be a course that most kids would go, that's a dream course. And you can do it. You can do that. And you'd have a couple hundred kids saying that's my favorite course. And it turned me on. It turned me on to books. Whatever. And you could make it work if the professor was willing to just come in and talk generically about novels, different kinds of novels, short stories, poetry, whatever the hell,
We're happy to bring you on as an adjunct anytime. I think
No,
we have plenty of students who would
you're
take
you
this.
have plenty. I bet you have several. Probably anybody in the English department would say like, "I'll take that one." Whatever. There's just so many ideas, and part of it is, and the thing about a lot of the good ideas, they don't really necessarily cost a bunch of money. I mean, money is obviously an issue, and some of the ideas that we bring about maybe actually save money. So, and that's the ideal thing.
Well, this gets to the question of collaboration, because you're
Yeah.
talking about students and
You want
faculty.
to do something?
Oh,
Are you ready?
Absolutely.
Okay, you
Talk
ready?
to me afterwards. And
Whoa! Excellent. Yeah, we alternate words. Yeah. No. Very good.
thank you.
Yeah.
But
You're that about 1 out of 1,000 actually does that. Yeah. So it's happened like twice before.
well, now I'm.
All right, Manhattan. Go Jaspers.
Well, perhaps speaking about collaboration,
Mhm.
You've written extensively in nonfiction and have had some pretty incredible collaborations.
Yeah.
Can you talk about what makes a good collaborator? And this doesn't necessarily
listen to
have
me.
to be. Well, there you go. But it doesn't
No,
just have to be
it's
an author. It could be in business.
Yeah, no, it's all over the. No, there's no. I mean, look, my situation is very specific for me. Some of the collaborators, I will write in almost all cases, a 50 to 80-page outline. I then want them to contribute for two reasons. One is you want the contributions, and secondly, I want them emotionally involved. And then the collaborations vary. I mean, with President Clinton, it's very different than with Dolly Parton. It's very different from Viola. But they're all, in all cases, they bring authenticity. The thing with Viola, it's a very sensitive trial in Alabama that has to do with abortion. And I'm not going to get into her story right now, because we're going to go on the road with it eventually. But she was very emotionally involved in that novel. So her involvement was so incredibly useful. Some of the collaborations, if like on the Women's Murder Club, but that's where, I mean, here's what it is. And once you get a series going, it's like you do a TV show. We have the voice. We know how the characters act within reason. So you just kind of, and try not to, make it boring and repetitive. But so this it brings some freshness to it. That's what happened with The Cross, the series on Amazon. And I like what they did. They made it more current. They made it more realistic in terms of Washington and what's going on with cops in Washington. And I thought that was really good. I like what they did a lot.
And Alex Cross is very fit in that series.
He is. We like him with his shirt off,
Yes.
don't we? Yeah.
Yes.
Even I do.
Is it all right to take some questions from the audience?
Sure, 100%.
So at this point, we have some questions from the audience.
Anybody have a question up close? Just raise your hand and you can shout it out, and then we'll get these. Anybody?
Well, Michelle
Don't be afraid.
has the microphone. And
Okay, you got somebody, Michelle? Look at these chickens. I can't believe it. Yeah. Anybody? Somebody? Oh, yeah, here we go. Lady in the white sweater there. On the left. Nope, not getting her.
I'll go first.
Oh, you go? Okay, yeah, great. Yeah.
What is your favorite novel that you have written and why?
The favorite novel that I have not written is 100 Years of Solitude. And then I love the Mr. Bridge and Mrs. Bridge, which nobody has read but me. No, not a lot of people have read that. The favorite ones, I can't say I have a favorite one that I'm very happy to have created Alice Cross. I like Michael Bennett as a character. I'm very proud of the book with Viola that's coming out. I think that's my best legit novel, meaning it's not a genre. It's just a very emotional. Some of the kids' books, I'm happy. Middle School, the worst years of my life. Maximum Ride was a cool series. Yeah, but I don't have any favorites of the stuff that I wrote. Next. That was great. You on the basketball team? No. Okay. Get him on the, oh my God, it's this person that saved the film shoot. Thank you.
What's one piece of advice that you have for students both inside and outside of the program to make a meaningful impact on their community?
To this thing about what can I head in terms of where your talent, where your skill sets are, be semi-realistic about that, and your passions. You know, if you're 260 pounds and you want to be a ballet dancer, could be a problem, but that doesn't mean you can't dance every day, you know. But what can I do most beautifully? I think that's a huge thing for everybody in the school, and it certainly has been helpful for me.
Hi, I just first wanted to thank you because I've been a recipient of the James Patterson Endowed Scholarship for the past few years, and it's made a huge difference in my life. But as an education major, I was just curious to know what inspired your support for students pursuing degrees in education, and why you support teachers so deeply.
Well, as you know, my mother was a teacher for a long time in a Catholic school, and they paid her actually in coins. They didn't have to really, even with folding money, but she loved it anyway, and she was a great inspiration for us. So that's a piece of it. The philanthropy, a lot of it comes from my mother and my grandmother. They just gave it away. That was their deal. Just do what you can. It's so important that you know, kids get educated. Reading is really, I mean, that's something we, you know, reading. The other thing that I always talk about is thinkeracy. Literacy is important. I'd love to see thinkeracy taught in all of the grade schools, that every day the teacher would sit there and just let's talk about thinking. You know, what are you going to do after school? No, I don't know. Okay, well, you could play soccer. You could read a book. You could rob a liquor store. So many possibilities, you know. But think, and get in the habit of thinking. And that blank screen that sometimes when we panic, so, you know, what are you going to write an essay about? You got that blank screen. Well, put something on the blank screen. A squirrel. Okay, good. You could write about a squirrel. Put something else on the blank screen, you know, and just getting kids in the habit and getting comfortable with thinking, getting confident. I can do that. I can think. I can get past my panic, you know. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, hi, Amy.
Hi, how are you?
Excellent.
Great. Sorry, I just quickly wanted to ask, what values and mentality do you hope to instill in the future generations of Jaspers?
Is this the kind of crap that speaking of where is he? Where's my Michelle? Michelle Saraceno, she is the best. She has done so much to get this thing moving, to fill up this. I mean, how insane is this? That many people coming to listen to the two of us. Let's say normally we'd have like 10 people here. Michelle did it. She is a treasure. I'm sorry, but this is not good. But she approved this question. But go ahead, let's go with it again.
Oh, again?
It sounds like it was written by a professor, but go ahead.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. It's cool. Sorry, Amy.
It's okay, I'll survive. What values and mentality do you hope to instill in the future generations of Jaspers with this program?
I don't. I don't give advice. I mean, we've tried to do some stuff here that's going to hopefully give people, you know, light a little bit, get the fire going a little bit, get them thinking about, look, I mean, you're going to have a lot of fun here. You're going to have some great courses. And they'll be thinking about, you know, what do I want to do when I get out of here? Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Okay. My question.
She just grabbed it. I can't believe it. There was that line, and oh my God, that's so cool. I love that initiative.
Well, you saw me first, but then they.
I saw you, what?
Never
Oh,
mind.
first. I thought I said another F word. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
I'm a lady.
No, it wasn't a bad word. Wasn't that F word. Yeah. Sorry.
My question has to do when you're thinking about who you're going to collaborate with for a book, do you think more about the subject, what you want to write about, or who you want to collaborate with? How do you come up with that?
Oh, no, it's always the subject. I mean, when I went out to Viola, I knew the book I wanted to write. When I went down to see Dolly, there were two things. One, a possibility of a children's book with her because she's involved with kids reading. And then I had an idea for an adult book. Dolly was the greatest. We just hit it off really well. I sat with her for about 3 hours, and she's in Nashville, and I went to Vanderbilt, which is in Nashville, blah, 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 blah. But while we were there in her little office, she said, she calls me Jimmy James. She said, at that point, she just called me James, but she said, I've written thousands of country songs. She said, I could write one here standing on my head. Want to see? So I said, yeah, go ahead. Let's see you write one standing on your head. But it's always I have an idea for something. Yeah, that I want to write. Mr. Beast, we had an idea. Yeah, isn't that so cool, Mr. Beast? Wow, damn. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sarah Emmons. I'm a part of the women's volleyball team here.
Oh, okay, great.
I just wanted to know what.
Did I tell you that we own the Austin women's professional volleyball team, or we're part owners. I think we own half.
Wow,
Yeah, so we're big into women's volleyball. Sue and I. Yeah.
I'd love to hear that.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, what did you do for fun when you were a student here?
There used to be a lot of bars down on the Pinewood, Collin and Breslin. I don't know. Yeah. It was a good environment. It was always, I mean, there were no women. That was a little bit of a tricky thing. I tell you, this is the weird, crazy memories. There was a blackout while I was here. And so we went up to Mount St. Vincent's. Yeah. And which is at that point all women. And about 100 of us, we're going up to Mount St. Vincent. One guard at the gate turned us away. One little Manhattan chickens. Okay, we're going back now. No problem. So that was very different. Here's another weird thing. There used to be a bar in Thomas Hall in the basement. I started that bar. Literally. I mean, I was in Penn and Sword and literally started that bar. I don't even know what the logic of it was, but, I guess the logic was cheap beer. I don't know. Yeah, I don't remember the names. Anybody remember the name? Plato's Cave, yeah. What a terrible name. Oh, my God. That sounds like a name that Michelle would come up with. Oh, my God. No. No, Michelle is the best. She is the best. Yes, sir.
Hi, I'm Andy. I'm on the men's lacrosse team. I was wondering, I heard you're a pretty big golfer, so I want to know what your handicap was.
What do you mean was? We haven't stopped. It's still going up. Here's my golf story. I have 9 holes in one, which is a fluke. All right, but here's my Sue, and she hates this story. So this is 9 or 10 years ago. At this point, I have 3 holes in one. Sue has 4. On February 6th of that year, I have another hole in one. Sue's very competitive. She's a big All-American swimmer. And she says, well, I don't like it, but I can live with it. 2 days later, Sue and I go out together. We're golfing in Florida. We're staying on it. I have another hole in one. Does she give me a big hug? No. Does she say, nice shot, honey? No. Very appropriately, she says, you've got to be shitting me. And that's why I love her. One of the many reasons.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Patterson. I first want to say thank you on behalf.
And we met already. Yeah,
we
cool.
met earlier. I wanted to first say thank you on behalf of me and my teammates that were there for you taking time out of your day to say hi to us and talk for a little bit in the quad.
Sure.
And my question is.
I think we talked enough, but no, I'm kidding.
My question is, especially since this is growing so much, and especially the writing field, what are your thoughts on the use of AI, and what do you think's influence on writing?
I'll give you my AI story. Nobody knows, honestly. There was a guy on the Eagles, not Henley. He was a loose cannon. Help me out with the name. Eagles, rock and roll band. Not Henley, no. Joe Walsh. Joe Walsh, total crazy man. They asked him about what the effect of artificial intelligence would be on music. And he said, I got to tell you, dude, because he was a crazy man, okay? He was known for being crazy. And he said, until AI can go out on the road, wreck a hotel room, and throw the television into the swimming pool, I'm not going to worry about AI. Which was actually funny, but it actually is true because it gets into the human element. The really weird. AI would never dream up the thing of throwing a television into by itself. But now that it's been given that information, it will. But so who knows? Who knows? We don't know. It's going to have a big effect. He wanted the real answer. I don't have it.
Hello, James Patterson. My name is Ivan Hernandez. I'm part of the School of Engineering.
Yeah.
And one of my main questions is, what advice do you have for the future generation who wants to be leaders in this world?
I'm not a big advice person. I think it's useful for pre-med engineering to get a little bit of liberal arts as part of your education, a little bit of English, read some books, read some. I just think it's useful. I think it's really useful for doctors in terms of beyond the science, that sort of bedside manner stuff. And I think it can be helpful. Similarly, I think in the arts, it's really useful to have a better understanding of science, especially biology. So I don't know where that gets you, but I don't, do well here. If you're in the program, we're going to help you to get the best possible job you can get. And think about it. What do you want to be? What do if you're in engineering, what kind of engineer? What's going to fit you the best? And do that, because it's ultimately it's not going to be about the money. It's going to be about a career where I don't work for a living. I play for a living, and that ideally is what you want to do. You want to be going. I really like my job a lot. Is that it? We're good. End of the line. Perfect. We're good.
So if you'll permit me, I just want to read very briefly from your autobiography, Patterson on Patterson.
Okay.
Quote.
James Patterson by James Patterson, I believe is the title. Let's get this correct in case people want to order it on Amazon. You look for Patterson on Patterson, you won't find it. And I won't make any money. Go ahead. And I need the money.
Yes. One thing I've learned and taken to heart about writing books or even delivering a good speech is to tell stories. Story after story after story. That's what got me here, so that's what I'm going to do. Let's see where storytelling takes us. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been an evening of stories, of advice, of generosity. Manhattan University has been a part of James Patterson's story, and we are so grateful that you have consistently been a part of ours. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me in thanking the storyteller.
And thank you for being such a generous person and putting up with me.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
You'll get my bill.
Thank you.
Thank you to James Patterson.
Okay. Thank you. Go Jaspers. Go Jaspers. Damn it. #1 in the basketball this year.
Right this way, Mr. Patterson. All right, thank you all for attending. Doesn't work? No, okay.